how Project Gutenberg and Google and others are digitizing books. But you know, one of the problems with digitizing books is that if the type isn't really clear, if it's an old book, if you're doing War and Peace and it's an old copy and the letters touch, you just can't do that with a machine. The machine can't recognize the words. So an organization called ReCAPTCHA, R-E-C-A-P-T-C-H-A, I believe, they developed a system so that they could harness the power of the crowd to help in digitizing these books. That's sort of like the security codes. You know, when you want to get a new Gmail account or a new something, you have to prove that you're not a bot, right? You have to type in. You know what I'm talking about? You have to type in a word you see. Okay, so what they did is, sorry. So they have the security code that they know the answer to, but to help in digitizing books where we can't understand it, but to get it scalable, they're using the power of the crowd. So they put in another word that they don't know the answer to. So you type in both words, takes you a second. They are crowdsourcing the digitization of 60 million words a day. And I think that's really important if we're going to talk about the power of the crowd. And I think that any solution has to have the power of the crowd, and that gets us back to the crowdsourcing, the collaborative portal. Okay, so we have the content. We have potential translators, we have some translators. We could help to build up more and more of a translation industry as a minor task. Let's talk about delivery. How do we get this knowledge to people? I mean, there are lots of programs going on right now that are really quite interesting. You must all know that one. One Laptop per Child. They've got a program now where you can, they're trying to make a $100 laptop, but right now they're about $150 laptop. That they want to, their goal is to give one laptop to every child. This is one of their projects. They also have a hand crank model, because obviously anything that has to go to certain rural communities in Africa has got to deal with the constraints there. Hand crank for electricity. Reinhard was telling me about a story just now about how in the village it was one of the only electricity they had was actually coming off the only light they had was coming off the screen of one of these devices. So anything obviously for Africa, and as we go out in the world and start thinking about ideas of how we could help deliver content to people in the poorest countries in this world, we need to take those realities into consideration. They need to be rugged, withstand a lot of light, and have their own generator. So what I'm worried about, though, with this program, and obviously it's a wonderful, wonderful, important program, but once those kids get on the net, what are they accessing? What are they seeing? What's in their language? What's available? And that's a question that I think that we need to ask, because speaking of the state of the art being already this far, it's already there. They're developing an e-book device, which again, I think we're going to have to look at leapfrogging technologies. There's no way we're going to start printing the thousands of books needed for different levels of readers in hundreds of countries, in numerous languages, even within those countries. We don't have the money, no one has the money to do that. But these e-book readers, right now they're about 200 euros. I think the one left, if you can see it, is actually, I think it's an iPhone. Some of these are available now and some of them aren't available yet. But when the MP3s first came out, they cost 250 euros. Now you can get one for $6. I saw one for $6.99. I think that these e-book readers are going to become ubiquitous. People say, well, they're hard to read, but they're getting so much better. And it's not only that they're getting better, it's just that they can do things that books can't. And I think, especially in academic situations, we just are not going to have the luxury to say, I'd rather read a book. Obviously, we'll have the luxury to say that, but if you really want to scalably get a lot of information, I think this is the future, but this is now. In about 2 or 3 years, these e-book readers are going to be ubiquitous and cheap, I think. And so we've got these this time now to make sure that there's some content to go on it. The Asia Online people, I don't know if you know, Kirti Vashi, who was with Language Weavers, now with Asia Online, they've got I believe it's the Moses MT engine that was developed by Philip Kuhn from University of Edinburgh. Okay, they're working with that. They've got a program they're tackling the Asian languages right now. One of their big tasks is to translate Wikipedia into the Asian languages. They're working on Thai. They've got an interesting model. They're using crowdsourcing, obviously. And they also said something, I don't know if it's true, but I'm sure one of you will want to investigate this. Their idea is that when you're using machine translation, if you can just get the first 10,000 errors out of the way, then you can really go a long way in the quality. So that's what they're doing to get knowledge ready in the Asian languages. I think maybe we could be looking at getting knowledge ready in some of these other languages, because these devices are going to be there and waiting. Just before I finish, we're talking about leapfrogging, and that's where we all come in, because you're all at the cutting edge of technology. We need to leapfrog. Have you heard about the phone ladies, the Grameen Bank phone ladies? Grameen Bank gives microcredit loans for entrepreneurs to start little businesses. Loans that might be $6, $20. They're hugely successful. Hugely, it's a huge movement all over the world. You richly deserve it. It's a Nobel Peace Prize. So they have a program in Bangladesh. This is actually from Uganda because I like the picture of it. But they have a program in Bangladesh where the phone ladies, they would get a microcredit loan and they would buy a cell phone. Bangladesh has around 150 million people and 1 million landlines. So the normal way to go about things would be to lay landlines for those other, 149 million. But that's not going to happen. That's going to take forever and cost a fortune. Not being hyperbolic, but so what they've done is they've been able to, through these cell phone ladies, who get a microcredit loan, buy a cell phone and rent it out to people so they can call a relative, deal with an emergency situation, apply for a job, find out prices for their products, or their wheat or their rice. They have been able to wire 100 million people out of 150 million with only 1 million landlines. So virtually, the country of Bangladesh, through these cell phone ladies, and the income that they make is double the average Bangladeshi income, and I assume it's the same in Uganda. It's only the second country to take this on. So we have some leapfrogging technologies. And here's something that's not really happening yet, but I think it's a week away or a month away. I mean, newspaper readers, and I just wondered if we couldn't envision something crazy like library ladies. So not everyone in Africa, even thanks to Google's project with the HSBC to bring cheap Wi-Fi to Africa. I mean, not everyone is going to be able to access that, but there will be cyber cafes, and more NGOs are putting computers into the hands of the people. But let's look at as many different ways as we can get content out. And maybe another way, just to leave you with this crazy idea, could be library ladies. Who have a microcredit loan, who maybe have one of these machines every week with a USB key. They download the latest newspaper, or they take orders from people who want a specific manual on how to maintain their water pump or bookkeeping for a small business or any kind of information. They get the information, come back the next week, it's been downloaded on the USB key, and they actually share the newspaper with people in the villages. So it's going to be easier than ever to access knowledge, and the translation hasn't really been on the table yet. It's not being discussed. And it's the one thing that really is important. We have all these projects that are putting billions, literally billions of dollars into bringing technology to Africa, to bringing